Today I'm going to take you through the Handstand 365 challenge. I started back in 2013. My longest handstand back then was 13 seconds. I can now hold a one-arm handstand for over 50 seconds. I can press handstand, I can do handstand push-ups. I'm 46 years old, I was 37 when I first started. And I recommend that you start the Handstand 365 challenge today. Now I do it each year starting on January the 1st. If you're watching this in the future and it's not January the 1st anymore, it doesn't matter, just start the challenge today. And the idea is you practice something to do with your handstand on a daily basis. Today I'm going to go through what I recommend you do at the start. So we need to do some sort of assessment to see where you're at in terms of balance, entry, flexibility and strength. And this can be for any level. Doesn't matter if you can't do a freestanding handstand yet or you can already hold for 5 minutes. So let's start off with the assessment. Now with the assessment, the first part is going to be balance and line conditioning. We want to see what we can hold for a long duration of time so we get some conditioning work. So let's first look at the line drill. So for the line drill, we want to be laying on our backs on the floor and have our low back touching the floor. Just start in this position. Now I'm going to slowly take the legs out further away from me. I've still got that low back touching the floor. See how my feet are close to the floor and I can place my hands above my head. Now I can do that, hold a conversation. I can hold here for 60 plus seconds. Now if you can't, if that feels too hard and your low back comes off the floor, we're just going to make it slightly easier by bending the knees, bringing the arms down by your side. You can even put your head down on the floor, just making sure that low back stays in contact with the floor. And then over time we can gradually increase. Now, if this is easy and you can do it for 60 seconds plus, you probably don't need to do this anymore. We can then look at the actual handstand. Now, if you can hold this, woo, maybe I should have warmed up first. Now, if I can hold this for 60 seconds plus, it's nice and steady, nice and still. This could be my conditioning work. But if I can't hold it freestanding yet, I'm going to go into a chest to wall handstand position. So nice straight line position, only toes touching the wall, nothing else. And make sure you're in this position and not put this position. Again, we just want to see how long we can hold for, and we're looking for a minimum of 60 seconds. If you can't hold for 60 yet, that needs to be something you need to work on. And for the assessment, make sure you video from the side and just see how long you can hold. Once we've done the conditioning part, we need to look at the balance. So how long can you hold a balanced freestanding handstand for? Now that could be coming off the wall, and just find your freestanding balance. You could use heel pull where you're using the fingertips to come off, but basically just see how long you can hold here for in a balanced handstand. So just assess your level. If you're doing freestanding, then obviously jump up into a freestand position. If freestanding is easy, then do something harder like going into a one-arm handstand or something like that. But just make sure that you capture where you are with your freestanding hold. Now, if you can't kick up to the wall yet, pick something else. So do a forearm stand, a crow position, something like this. See if you can hold that for time. A headstand, another arm balance, just something where you're holding freestanding. Next, we want to assess our entries. So our entries could be kick-ups, they could be jumps. So for the kick-ups, we're looking for consistency. So placing the shoulders on top of the hands, picking that focal point, make sure that stays the same. Kicking up, holding with control, 1, 2, 3, come back down, go again. So you can see how many of those you can get in the row. If you're not kicking up to freestanding, exactly the same against the wall. So ideally kiss the wall with both heels. If both heels is hard, see if you can go 1, 2. If you can't do 1, 2, see if you can go 1. But just capture where you're at. Exactly the same with the jump entries, shoulders on top of the hands, pick that focal point, and then jump the body or jump the legs on top of the hips. Come back down again. You could practice that or try it in straddle. You could practice it in pike, and you could practice it in tuck. But obviously don't stress if you can't do any of those. It's just the assessment to see where we're at the start point. Next is flexibility. So let's have a look at the flexibility aspects that really help towards the handstand. So let's look at our forward fold position. Now I'm not warmed up, I'm doing this cold. You could do the same, or you could do a warm up. Just make sure you record whether it is a warmed up position or a cold starting point. So I'm gonna lock the knees backwards. I'm just gonna do a forward fold to see how close I can get to the floor. So first goal would be fingertips to the floor. If you can get fingertips, obviously see if you can get palms. If you can get palms easily, increase the height. So stand on something like the IKEA steps. Now I know cold, I can just get, let's try again. Can just get fingertips to touch the floor. You could do the same. You could just measure this distance from the feet to the tip of the fingers and record that, or just do the video or picture from the side. Works really well. Once we've done the forward fold, we want to have a look at the straddle position. Now I wouldn't recommend, if you're tight in this position, to stretch in this position when you've got a rounded back. However, for the assessment, it's a really good way of seeing where you're at and how tight you are in this position. So sitting in this position first, ideally we should be able to lean forwards with the low back. If you can do that comfortably, then try and touch the floor with one elbow. If you can't touch with one elbow, you can put fingers in the way And then you can go through the normal one, so you can go for 1 elbow, 2 elbows, forehead to fist, forehead to the floor, nose to the floor, chin to the floor, chest to the floor, belly button to the floor. And again, just video from the side to see where you're at. I do the same for splits. I do front splits and side splits. And again, just visit the position, give yourself a rough idea of where you're at. For the front splits, you're looking at the distance from the knee to the heel. So that distance, I'm just gonna open up as far as I can between the two. And then try and have an upright torso as best you can. Now, if you need to, you can have boxes or something here. But again, picture from the side. Try and keep the hips square-ish, but it's not a big issue. Remember, we were just assessing. Make sure you do both legs and then do the same for middle splits. Now, for the middle splits, I need a box or something in front of me. And then just get an idea of where you're at with an upright torso. Now the back bend is optional. I'm not very good at it. I'm just gonna show my feet raised up onto something because I know not warmed up, I definitely need that. And I'm just trying to find where I can get my shoulders on top of my hands. If it's harder, I'm going to raise my feet up higher. Now, most people, when they get into handstands, they want to work towards a strength component. So it could be a press handstand or a handstand push-up. You don't have to do this, but I do recommend that most people do something towards the straight arm strength and something towards the bent arm strength. Now, these are a little bit trickier to assess because you really need to understand the line of progression towards each of these skills and then see where you are on that line of progression. But this will give you an idea. For the press handstand, we've got eccentric against the wall, we have eccentric freestanding, we have partial range, we have momentum. So you might be somewhere in that. If you know those drills or you know where you can get with the press handstand at the moment, just take a video of that from the side. If you've got no idea, check out one of my press handstand videos, and I will be doing more in the future, or just leave that for the time being and we can add that in later on. Exactly the same with the handstand push-ups. You could be at the end of doing pike handstand push-ups. You could be eccentric against the wall. You could be eccentric freestanding. You could be concentric against the wall. You could be partial range. You could be crow to handstand. You could be on a floor handstand push-up, and you can go all the way up beyond the standard handstand push-up to deficits. You go to stool to presses. Obviously, there's lots of going on there. But if that was a serious goal, you need to start to explore and understand all those progressions. That's why some of these skills take years to do, so multiple handstand 365s. I personally use Instagram for my accountability, so I put videos or pictures up on a daily basis on there, and it goes all the way back to 2013. I use the hashtag Handstand365 with Paul, so if you want to join in with that, you can, and I can see them. Also tag me on your post if you'd like me to share to my story. If you feel you need a little bit more coaching, check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. I offer Zoom sessions, program design and video critiques. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see your progress.